Right guys, so this is the tutorial for the side pose, and this is going to be applicable for pretty much every single federation other than two bros. So as with every single other pose, what we want to focus on first is where we place our feet and how we distribute where we're sort of directing our feet. So what we want to do with that left foot is we don't want it completely horizontal like you're seeing a lot of people do, and I'll tell you why in a bit. What we want it is just slightly towards the front from horizontal, so that's absolutely fine. And then the right foot, just place it a little bit further back, so yeah, that's absolutely fine. And then what we want to look at is making sure that we're distributing our body weight onto this left leg. So it's just going to allow us to have a bit of a foundation to sort of sit onto that left leg, and then everything else in the pose will be a lot easier then. So what we need to do is make sure our torso is just completely straight here. So we don't want any leaning forward, we don't want any leaning back as well. So the main thing we're looking for is this line here. If you drew a straight line, this would be sort of perpendicular from the floor. Then what we want to do is make sure, yeah, as you can see, Ryan's got his lats flared, so it just creates a lot more width in the pose. And then we just want a little bit of rotation of the upper body towards the front, just so this arm and this delt is visible, and we can see a little bit of this lat poking out here. So those are the main things we're looking out for. So next what we want to do is with this hand. So we want to put this hand on the hip. So what I would do is place it slightly sort of towards the top of where the board shorts are, and that'll be absolutely fine. So you'll see a lot of people will put the hand higher up, and what will happen is it'll be maybe a lot harder to sort of flare this lat out, and what it's also going to do is make you cover your obliques, and obviously we want to show that oblique detail. On the other hand, some people will put it too low, and you can just see he can't really open that lat up, and it'll sort of take away from his fullness in his arm and delt. So what I would do is place it at the top of the board shorts. So from there, we just want to use that lat then to push that elbow forward just a little bit. So that's absolutely fine there. And by doing that, we just create a little bit more fullness in this, more cap in the delt and more sort of a sweep in the tricep as well. We need to make sure, however, we're not overdoing this. So what will happen then when he overdoes it, you actually take away from the width here, and the chest here will cave in as well. So we just need to make sure that that chest is full. So that's absolutely fine there. Cool. So in terms of the other side, all we need to do is just flare that lat and kind of let the arm hang more naturally than that. So what a lot of people will do is make their arm really stiff and then just throw it out to the side. So you can see as this arm goes out to the side, you start to lose that delt cap and lose that tricep sweep. And then you also create a lot of empty space here, which is counterproductive to what we want. So what we want to do is make sure the pose is filled in as possible, and we want to make this delt look as wide as possible. So all we need to do is flare the lat and just let it hang naturally. Another minor detail we need to look at is the position of the wrist. So what some people will do is supinate the wrist and then contract the bicep like this. So what will happen when you do that is you sort of hide sort of the outline of the tricep then, and it kind of makes the delt look a little less full as well. So what I would do is literally just relax it, do a neutral grip, and then just let it hang like this, and it'll look a lot more relaxed and natural in the pose. So another thing that people tend to do wrong is when they pull this arm through like this, and the main reason they do this is they're trying to sort of really squeeze this pec and contract it. But we need to realize this isn't bodybuilding, this is men's physique. We want to display shape and width rather than like extreme muscularity and like crazy striations in the chest. So all we need to do is flare this lat and sort of let that sit where it is, and it's just going to look a lot more aesthetic in the pose here. Right, so the next thing we're going to focus on is what we're doing with our midsection and our abs. So if you think about it, what we're actually displaying to the judges or the audience is going to be the obliques and these abs. So if you think about it, these obliques here aren't really visible, so we don't really need to worry about them, because if you think about it, just squeeze the entirety of the abs, Ryan. So when you squeeze this side of the obliques here, what you're doing is you're kind of thickening the waist a little bit here, because when you do squeeze the obliques, it does sort of expand this bit a bit. So what we need to do is just relax this side of the obliques and then just focus on these obliques here and the main abs. And that'll sort of display the best combination of the shape with the sort of the lats coming into the waist, and obviously the condition of the abs as well. Right, so getting back onto the point of the sort of angle and direction of the foot. So what I'm going to do is show you what happens when you rotate that foot too far to the side. So what you can see when Ryan does that is he finds it a lot harder to rotate the upper body around, and it's going to be a lot quite awkward and uncomfortable to do that. So sort of the distance between his delts is narrowed off, and it just makes his top line look a lot sort of less wide, I suppose, as well, even though the waist does look smaller. So we just need to find that good compromise of not being too to the front. So if you put it really to the front, yep, and then just put your waist to the front, like that, so massively to the front. So you can see if you're facing too far to the front, you're turning it like into pretty much a front pose, and your waist is going to look a lot bigger, and then this delt can't look as full. So we just need to make sure we get that good compromise. So what I would do is have somewhere between, I would say, 15 degrees from here and about 45 degrees from here. So just play around with it and see what works best for you. So just going back onto the torso alignment side of things, so we just need to make sure that we're not leaning forward. So what people do when they're sitting into this leg and they distribute the waist in the leg, they tend to sort of lean forward quite a bit, and you actually sort of hinder your ability to display the width when you're doing this, and it just sort of takes away from the aesthetics of the pose. And some people, to counteract that, they'll end up leaning back like this, and obviously this is what we don't want. So we just need to make sure that we're completely straight and upright in the pose, and that'll be absolutely spot on. So guys, that was the tutorial for the side pose.